Welcome, everybody, to the Happy Hour Hoops pregame show. The NBA, well, I guess the NBA came back last night, but we're really back tonight.
More exciting night tonight.
More exciting. We were hyping up Spurs Mavs yesterday on the pod that will be coming out tomorrow, and they played last night. I didn't even realize that. My brain was just fully focused on Thursday night for this matchup here. The Boston Celtics, with Marcus Smart returning for his first game since January 30th against the Los Angeles Lakers, will be traveling the short flight over to Brooklyn, right? It's in Brooklyn. I'm getting this correct. All right. I'm always just that never know with the places with these schedules. This year to Brooklyn to face the Kevin Durant-less Brooklyn Nets, still extremely dangerous, obviously, with Kyrie Irving and James Harden in tow. And it's a fun one to kick off the Thursday night. We're back here. This is our last Thursday TNT game for a couple weeks, as the March Madness will take over next Thursday.
True.
But so Dunny, are you excited about this one? How are you feeling so far tonight, getting ready for your Boston Celtics going to Brooklyn?
Dude, I'm feeling good. But before we start talking about the Celtics, I know there's listeners out there, who are having problems with their grooming and they need a new razor. You guys got to check out Manscaped. Trainwreck Sports Happy Hour Hoops presented by Manscaped. Go over to manscaped.com at checkout. Use the promo code Trainwreck. You will get 20% off and free shipping. Go check out Manscaped. But the Boston Celtics, Jake, I've been waiting for this. All-Star break seemed like it was like a few months long. Finally have Celtics basketball back. They were on a 4-game win streak before the break. As you mentioned, Marcus Smart is back and ready, I think ready to ignite a little fire under the Celtics and have them keep pushing in the second half of the season. It's been a long time without Marcus Smart. January 30th. So what is Maniac saying?
Who do you think this is the most pressing question here? Who is Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce pulling for here? I feel like it's definitely Paul Pierce is bleed green or die. Garnett, I have no idea. He's a wild
Garnett. I think Garnett speaks out the same with the same tone. I would say. I'd say they're both definitely Celtics tonight.
Yeah, they're not. It wasn't as great a run for the Nets going on there. Anyways, keep going. I apologize.
No, I wanted to see what Maniac said as well. No, but I'm just expecting good things from the Celtics team. Of course, they have a few favors from the Nets side. Kevin Durant out with a hamstring injury. We won't be seeing KD on the court for about a month. I think they're taking another look at that injury. No Blake Griffin, new Brooklyn Net. They are managing a knee injury is what I saw on Twitter today. Mm-hmm. But, we shouldn't be taking this Nets team lightly with Kyrie and Harden, because those guys led the Nets to a 9-1 run in their last 10 before the break on a 2-game win streak. So a little win streak of their own. Celtics are on a win streak. It's still anyone's game tonight. Going to be an interesting one for sure.
So yeah, I'm very bullish on your Boston Celtics here tonight. I just think they're coming out. I just think they're coming out. Jaylen Brown, especially tonight, after being around All-Stars all weekend, and I remember I think you said this comment yesterday when we were talking. Maybe it was somewhere else, but that he was talking about. They were asking about his All-Star experience, and he's like, I don't feel like an All-Star. He's like, not that my level of play, but we're not winning games, so I don't feel like an All-Star right now. I mean, that speaks volumes to just how these dudes are, how their mindset is wired. At least Jaylen's is in general. And man, they always get up to go against the stars like this, and the Nets present all the star power in the world.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too high up on the Celtics just because of how back and forth the first half of their season was.
Yeah.
But it's almost hard not to right now because, a lot of the question marks were around Kemba Walker and his play, and if, the resting his knee was actually the right move. But we saw during that 4-game win streak right before the break that it probably was, because Kemba had probably his 5 or 6 best games of the season right before the All-Star break. They took a few losses during those games that he played well, but that's, something that got answered. We saw a little more bench production right before the break in Teague and Ogilvy, and now Smart is back. Smart is just playing before the injury, of course, so it was a small sample size, but averaging the most points per game in his career, most steals per game, and most assists per game. So, I mean, Marcus Smart, I think everyone knows that that's a big addition for him to come back, but also having one of his best seasons statistically. Yeah, it's just going to be a good one. And I think they can keep it rolling in the second half of the season. Definitely, we talked about the Denver Nuggets, in the Western Conference, how they have a lot of pressure. I would say the most in the Western Conference. I think my Boston Celtics have the most pressure in the East.
Yeah.
And this is a big test tonight.
I think there's a lot of pressure they put on themselves at this point with these young guys because these dudes think they think they're the best team in the East right now. Like that's the reason that they're so disappointed in this is because they think that they should be up there at the top of the conference no matter against these guys. And I believe that these two at least, and Jalen and Jason have the talent to be able to match up with those things. It's just about putting it together consistently with the rest of this roster. You did bring up the nice point about Kemba Walker. Kemba has looked great before the All-Star break. He looked like his knee was reacting well now. He was moving around better. He was getting people off the dribble a little more. He was being able to cross people up a little bit. Like it looked like old Kemba. And we've talked about Kemba a lot on this podcast, just in general, about him being in different matchups and stuff. This is not a hard matchup for him tonight. It's not like Kyrie's locking him up. It's not like James Harden's locking him up. They don't have a guy on this team to really throw at Kemba to mess with him. So this could be another opportunity tonight for Kemba to kind of have that big outpouring and, help them fill it up because they're going to need all the scoring help they can get against this Nets team. So we'll see what happens. How do you feel about Smart not being in the starting lineup? Do you think it's just easing him back in? Do you think how much Marcus Smart are we going to get tonight? Do you think he's going to play a big role, or do you think they're going to try to lean a little bit heavier on the other guys that have been available more recently? I think
this just solely has to do with Brad liking the way this lineup looked.
Yeah.
Right before the break, because early in the season, he went with this lineup a lot. It got criticism. The two bigs lineup got a lot of criticism from fans, from analysts, you name it. But, I mean, these guys have all been performing. If you look down the list, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Daniel Tyson, Tristan Thompson, along with Teague and Kemba, who I mentioned, they kind of came on right before the break. Same with Thompson. I think he finally figured out at least a starting lineup that he likes. I don't think Brad has all his rotations down yet. But, this is just kind of what's worked. It's kind of just if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. 4-game win streak. I think they're going to roll with it. I haven't heard if Smart's getting limited minutes. I would kind of be surprised. Maybe if we see a double overtime game tonight, maybe they don't have him in the overtime periods. But I can't see a restriction, especially with a guy like Marcus Smart. It's just not someone you really want to restrict. You're going to get his best basketball if he's amped up and as engaged in the game as possible. So I don't think they'll ease him into it unless he's showing signs of fatigue. But I think Marcus will be a go. And, he's played off the bench for a lot of his career, and that's kind of where he thrives. So I like him, first, second guy off the bench tonight.
I'm so excited for them to have him back. The second I saw him get hurt, I just knew right away. I was like, this is going to be bad for the Celtics. And everyone's talked about it on podcasts and stuff oh, is it really that important? With Marcus Smart, bro, yes, the energy that they can bring on a night, the nights that they just look like shit, which have happened all too often this season. Yeah. He's the dude that's out there. He doesn't give a fuck what they look like. He's going to go out. He's going to go shoot. He's going to go dive around like crazy. Marcus Smart he plays every game like it's game 7 of the NBA finals. He always has, his whole career, his whole college career, everything. And so I think that energy just being back in the lineup, they'll feed off that for sure.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I mean, it's so cliche to say, just
the heart and soul
guys. The heart and soul, and he makes winning plays, and his gameplay doesn't reflect on a stat sheet necessarily. Those are all such cliches, but Marcus Smart is the epitome of all of those.
Oh yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, ask any, it's not just something the fans.
If you watch the Celtics enough, if you watch them for enough games, you realize how much he does on the court for them, just a game-to-game basis. It's crazy. Right. It's not one night that you could watch one night and Marcus Smart could have 4 points and have 5 fouls and 4 turnovers and he's 0 for 6 from 3. You're like, what the fuck is this guy? And it's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't even matter because he's probably still been locking people up that game. But it's the nights because no matter what, he goes in the same mindset every game that he could light it up for 25. And sometimes you need those guys
to draw 2 offensive charges on James Harden and
exactly
steal a game somehow.
And think about guys like Jordan Clarkson's probably been a better scorer than Smart's ever been in his career, probably a little bit more offensively skilled. But think about how we used to talk about him, and then he kind of just figured out, just became a vet offensively and just kind of figured out how to score. I see that kind of second half of his NBA career, Marcus Smart, where he's like a bench guard that can just get buckets because he's so smart and so willing to do anything that he's just gonna be he could just be bouncing around to title from title teams, whatever, and just be the perfect glue guy for all these teams just with what he brings. So I think you'll definitely notice his impact tonight, especially guarding Kyrie and James Harden in important moments.
Yeah, I think we need to get into the little Harden Smart matchup, but before that, we should do a little sip for stat, so the people listening out there can get a better understanding of the 2 teams playing tonight. We like doing this. I will be asking Jake questions about the Celtics. He'll ask me questions about the Nets. If we get the answer incorrect, we will drink, and we encourage you guys to play along. I will start. Jake, for the Celtics, who shoots the highest free throw percentage on the Celtics?
I'm going, oh man, this is tough actually. I feel like there's a couple of people this could be. Is it Peyton Pritchard?
It is.
Let's go.
That's a snipe, dude. Nice. Way to start the sip for stat. Yeah, Peyton Pritchard shoots 94% from the line.
Impressive. That's
Rookie,
impressive.
And he's already shooting like Chris Paul at the charity stripe. So that's good to go right there. But yeah, way to start the sip for stat.
Impressed with myself, honestly. I didn't know if I'd be able to grab that one. I was thinking, I wanted to say Tatum so bad. And then I had Type pop up in my head too, and I was like, there's no way that's it. But all right, that's a good start. So my first question for you, this is more of a loaded question, so you might have to drink no matter what here. I'm sorry on this.
Okay.
But there are 3 guys. There are 4 guys in the top 3 of the 3-point percentage on the Brooklyn Nets. It's pretty easy to name the 3 guys, but I want you to rank who you think is first, second, third, and there's a tie for one of those positions. So I want you to tell me who you think's the tie to. So 4 guys, 3 spots.
And it's
3-point shot. Yeah, from behind the line. Yeah.
Joe Harris is 1.
Yep.
Kevin Durant's 2.
Yep.
And then, or is Kevin and Kyrie tied?
No. Kevin is 2. So I'll give you that third place is tied. The last 2 people are tied.
Oh, Kyrie and Harden?
It's not. No. That was your trick there. It is Jeff Green and James Harden are tied at 42% from 3. Kyrie is a lackluster 5th place at over 40%, 41% from 3. They have 5 guys on the team who shoot over 40% from 3. How ridiculous is that? I didn't know that. That's why I wanted to bring this one up. I was like, what's a 3-point one? I was like, oh, that Jeff Green is actually Kyrie shooting.
Good for him, dude. Yeah. Earlier in the day, we were seeing, or at least I was seeing on Twitter, Jeff Green was questionable. I think just a few minutes ago, the Nets officially, or maybe closer to a half hour ago, the Nets officially announced that he will play.
That's good.
So maybe a Jeff Green revenge game against Boston. Boston just lets random, average players go off on them on a nightly basis. So I think it could be Jeff Green.
Jeff Green was the second best player in Cleveland in that series when they played in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was LeBron and then Jeff Green behind LeBron on the Cavs. So, I think he's got something against the Celtics. That's the only time I'd ever seen Jeff Green play like that in a Cavs uniform was that playoff run. So I think he just wanted to go after
games. It's like his 45-point performance against Heat LeBron.
I know.
He just does it sometimes. All right. We'll go round 2 here and sip for stat. Who shoots a higher 3-point percentage on the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown or Jeff Teague?
I'm gonna say Jaylen Brown.
But is it Jeff Teague?
Fuck Jeff Teague, man. What's he doing? How many threes he taking? Like 10? He don't touch the ball.
He shoots 42. He shoots 42% from deep, and Brown shoots just under 39% right now.
Damn, Jeff. That's all Jeff Teague's good for. At least he's good for one thing. At least you know that you guys can count on him for one thing. I don't know if you can count him in for anything else, but
second half of the season, I need 8 points, 5 assists from Jeff Teague a game, and I'll be happy.
It's not asking a lot, I don't think. It's really not asking a lot. All right, Nick Claxton, very not well-known Nets player for anybody else on here, but he has been getting some decent minutes with the Nets since they picked him up. Is he averaging over or under 8.5 points currently for the Brooklyn Nets?
Ooh, this is our guy Spenny's guy right here.
It is. Shout out Spenny in the Nets.
He's kind of a Time Lord Robert Williams in the making for the Brooklyn Nets. I'm saying over 8.5 points.
You are correct. He is averaging 10 points. One of 5 players on the Brooklyn Nets to be doing so. Jeff Green actually averaging 9.5 points. He is not averaging 10 points, but shooting 42% from the 3-point line. Karis LeVert was averaging 18, and Jarrett Allen was averaging 11 before he left the team. So that's for Claxton.
But the Nets have 5 players shooting over 40% from deep, and 5 players in double figures.
Yeah, and KD, Kyrie, Joe Harris, Jeff Green, DeAndre Jordan, and Bruce Brown all shoot. Oh, and Claxton all shoot over 50% from the field.
Wow.
Yeah, they're lethal. They are absolutely.
Bruce Brown's good, dude.
He is pretty good.
They have a few diamonds in the rough, which is just scary because they literally don't need any more firepower.
Nope, not
they
at all.
Just don't. Okay, so that was sip for stat, right? We both rattled off our 2.
I've got one more for you if you want one.
Oh yeah.
I had a James Harden one. I didn't know if I was going to use this one, but I think over under total points, rebounds, assists, 47. Do you think he's over or under that?
On average?
Yeah, of his average points, rebounds, assists, it's over under 47. I'm trying to do the math.
I am. I don't know what his rebounds are. I'm going to say just under.
You're correct. It's 45. I was going to do 50. I was like, wait, that's like a 30, 10, and 10. Like, he's going to know he's not averaging a 30, 10, and 10 right now. He is averaging only 25 points a game, but he is averaging 25.5 points a game, but he is assisted on 11.4 a game and almost 9 rebounds a game.
Oh, wow. I didn't know his rebounding. I thought his points were lower and his I thought his points were higher and his rebounds were lower. I mean,
yeah. So he's scoring he's rebounding at a nice clip there, almost near averaging a triple double this year. So
we talked about his, Harden towards the end of the season. I don't think his MVP value would be that bad to hop on, especially if Durant's going to miss a extended period of time here, and who knows about the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
But okay, so that will conclude. Now we will conclude Sip for Stat. Hopefully you guys learned a little something about both teams playing tonight. So yeah, you want to get a little more into just this matchup and some of maybe the drama we have and just hot stories from this game. I know I'm looking forward to, I kind of teased it a little bit, but I'm really looking forward to the Marcus Smart, James Harden matchup. I think Kyrie playing against the Jays, who we know Kyrie's still kind of close friends with Jason Tatum. They have that Duke brotherhood. But yeah, what little matchup are you looking most forward to tonight?
It's always interesting to see Kyrie back against the Celtics, just because that's always been the most interesting dynamic to me in the last couple of years in the NBA. So I think they're cool now. Like, it seems like him and Tatum were always cool. The Duke connection, whatever.
Yeah,
they can commiserate over everything going on with Duke basketball that ended up happening this year, I guess. But it seems like they kind of got a level of respect with Jaylen Brown now. And I want it might be partly to do Jalen's so active in the community, active in all his communities with his outreach and his social justice, and Kyrie's kind of the same way. So maybe they kind of were just like, fuck this petty basketball stuff, and we are actually trying to do stuff, something like that. So that's good to see, because those are two guys who could actually try to impact some real shit in the world from the NBA, and it's better to have them on the same page than not on the same page.
Right.
But it's always just interesting to see, it's just a different path down the road. You see Kemba Kemba on the other side. It's like, wow, like that. It's the thought when Kyrie got traded, the thought that Kemba Walker would end up on the Celtics and Kyrie would be gone. So it's just, you would have never imagined that so quickly. And it's just crazy how things like that in the NBA can just change in a flash.
Such a roller coaster of just a few years as a Boston Celtics fan, going from Isaiah Thomas, elite point guard, to Kyrie Irving, who every Celtics fan kind of was like, wow, our problems are solved. IT was banged up. He's a bigger, younger, more skilled Isaiah Thomas, who we just received. We had, the disappointing year with Hayward. And then the Kyrie saga was just when it started to seem like it was a little too good to be true. It ended. And then, as you mentioned, Kemba Walker comes in. Just the level of play at point guard for the Celtics the last 4 or 5 years has been crazy.
Yeah.
But speaking of Kyrie, I kind of wanted to get your input on this because Cleveland Cavaliers guy, of course. Tristan Thompson and Kyrie kind of back on the court. Do you think there's anything there? I don't really know what their relationship was like in Cleveland and when Kyrie left Cleveland.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know if there was a lot, like, in my memory at least, I don't remember a lot of like Kyrie Tristan interactions. Yeah, and honestly, it doesn't surprise me when I was thinking, because I remember seeing that on there. I was thinking about it, I was like, man, like, I don't remember like ever hearing about Kyrie and Tristan stuff, but it makes sense because Kyrie is a very private person. Obviously he doesn't share a lot unless he chooses to, those kinds of things. We keep seeing that over his career. And Tristan was dating LeBron. Unless he's roasting LeBron, which is, yeah. And Tristan Thompson was legitimately dating a Kardashian while he was on the Cavs. True. So that's not really, I feel like they were probably just not in the same circle.
He was busy.
Yeah, he was caught up with some shit.
Yeah.
Tristan was real, like Tristan and LeBron were close, but I think that's because they were just like that. They were in those circles and shit all the time. I don't think Kyrie was ever really in that kind of like
that makes sense.
Group. So I don't know. I don't remember a lot of, but it's interesting because the parallels with them coming in together, they got drafted the same year, number 2 and number 4 that year, or number 1 and number 4 that year. Kyrie was 1, obviously, and Tristan at 4, and kind of were, 2 of the main reasons that LeBron decided to jump ship. In the I'm Coming Home article, I remember he specifically named out Kyrie and Tristan Thompson in there. Obviously Kyrie,
cool,
and then wanted to talk about Tristan Thompson too. So I think it's a level of respect probably between those two with anything, just what they went through. They can relate to their Cleveland experiences better than anybody else.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, especially with Thompson. I mentioned a couple of times just kind of playing the level of basketball that Celtics fans would have hoped. And even you said, I remember you saying, seeing Thompson many years on the Cleveland Cavaliers and now seeing him in a Celtics uniform, I think you had sort of high hopes, or maybe not hopes, but like you anticipated him playing well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He's kind of figured it out. I think the Jays are getting more comfortable feeding Tristan. You can see it. Mm-hmm. He's not trying to do as much as he did. So, yeah, I think that'll be just something to watch out for. See if TT can have a big game against old teammate Kyrie Irving. I think my favorite matchup, and I've teased it a couple times now, it's just the Harden and Smart.
Yeah.
We saw that was probably, 3-4 years ago now, that Marcus Smart took 2 offensive charges on James Harden, getting him ejected from a tight game when it was Celtics Rockets. But Harden's kind of leveled up since then. What do you think Marcus Smart's defense, especially first game back, if he's matched up with Harden most of the game, do you even think that matters for this type of James Harden we're seeing this season? And when we just went through his stats and he's, MVP level, doesn't really get slowed down by anyone. Do you think this is a game where Harden's still probably going to cook?
Well, that's why I don't think Smart's going to be on Harden. I think they'll use one of the Jays on him just because the length will help them with Harden, because Harden's big, dude. Like you're talking about it the other day watching the All-Star game, and it's like I know he's like 6'5", but he's just a big 6'5". Like he's a big dude. He's jacked. He's like thick. Like he's like not like a small guy at all. Yeah, he's fat. Sometimes he's too thick. He's just like not a like I don't think you can put I don't think you'd ever want a smaller guy on him. Not that Marcus Smart does poorly against him, because Marcus Smart has done well in the past against James Harden. Right. But they can use Smart for the Kyrie matchup and kind of.
I was going to say that's
get him out of there
too. Like
yeah. Exactly. That's a great matchup too. But I think Jalen or Tatum gets the Harden matchup most of the night. And that's
Me too.
an interesting matchup in its own right too.
I like a lot of Jaylen Brown on Harden tonight. I think we will see a lot of that. A lot of switching in general. I think the only thing that worries me about the Celtics switching, and kind of always, is just with Kemba Walker.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. I love the thought of a lineup just without him on the floor for some cases in this game. If it's close, especially like late, it's not going to be scoring that they're worried about. They're just going to have to get a couple stops. And maybe it's an offense-defense kind of thing that they do at the end. But
I honestly think at some point, either late in the third or in the fourth quarter, we'll see a Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum,
and center
and Robert Williams.
That's the best lineup they could put on the floor no matter what. I think that's their that should be their A lineup. Maybe that's their closing lineup.
Semi Ojeleye too. Like I feel like it's just. Well, I mean,
how does Semi Ojeleye still play basketball? I just don't. I watch him in these games. I'm just like, how is he still in getting minutes in the league? I just don't get it. No offense, Semi, but kind of.
No, yeah. Me and my dad were actually talking about that a few games ago. It's just
what does he do?
He was drafted the same year as Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
And he's year 5, and they just kept him around. I mean, he had some pretty poor seasons. But this season he's doing very well. Like he must be career high in almost everything. Because like you watch a Celtics game now and you're like, okay, Ojeleye hits threes at like a high clip.
Yeah.
He's rebounding well. He's just making smart plays. I think that he stayed around because of his defense that he proved like 1 year in the playoffs against Giannis. And I think that was just like enough for Ainge and Brad. And now he's actually, playing pretty well. Only 5 points per game. Let's see here. 3-point percentage is, career high in 3-point percentage, just under 40, shooting 50 from the field. So, I think he's just making the most of his minutes, and that's why he plays on Brad Stevens' team.
It baffles me, dude. It just fucking baffles me because, like, the dude, I remember the Semi Ojeleye story is crazy because he was like a 5-star prospect. I remember him coming in, went to Duke, ended up leaving Duke, goes to SMU, right? That's where he got drafted out of, one of those Texas schools.
Yeah, SMU.
And he lit it up there for SMU. And I was like, oh, maybe he kind of figured it out. But that offensive output, it just has never shown in an NBA game. And I'm just like,
I think it's literally just because he was like DK Metcalf on the basketball court, and
now he's just in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because he is only like 6'7", 6'8", and he could probably just body people in college and then just get to the league. And it's like, bro, you got to do a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important question is I believe the line is 2.5. Celtics plus 2.5. Nets minus 2.5. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, that seems to be the most important question on these little pregame shows, Jake. So who you got?
We're going with the Celts all night.
Me too.
Bleed green.
I replaced my wager.
Bleed green. I've won so much money on the Celtics the last couple of years. I will ride out, but I have liked the Nets this year a lot. Every time the Nets.
Me too. I mean, they're not one in their last 10. So,
but this is making up for Christmas Day when I also bet on the Celtics.
Oh.
And Siri also is picking the Celtics.
Yeah,
picking the Celtics. Dunny's picking the Celtics. So that's it. I mean, enjoy the NBA being back tonight, everybody. We got Celtics Nets here.
Large slate of games.
And next week, we'll probably be coming at you with some March Madness stuff. I'm going to put my college basketball expert. I've had it on. I won't move my laptop. All day, it has been conference tournaments. I'm doing my homework. That's my plan for the weekend. I'll be caught up. We'll be locked and loaded, ready to go with some March Madness action going on next week.
Yes, we will. Thanks for coming to the happy hour pregame show for a little Celtics Nets. Hope you guys enjoy your Thursday night. Stay hydrated. Watch some NBA, and
stay hydrated. That's it right there. That's how we're ending these things from now on. Stay hydrated, folks.
Stay hydrated. Later.